Welcome back. Now, one of our big stories for today is the xenophobic violence that's been taking place in Durban over the last few days. And joining us now from our Durban studio is KwaZulu-Natal Premier Senzo Mchunu. He and Home Affairs Minister Malusi Gigaba met diplomats from Nigeria, Somalia, Malawi and other African nations today to discuss the violence. Government has expressed its regret and has informed the diplomats what steps would be taken. Let's talk now to the Premier. Premier, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Perhaps we can start with that meeting that you had with diplomats. What were the concerns they raised and what did you tell them?
Well, there is concerns from around things that Home Affairs has to handle in terms of immigration and with regard to those who want to leave the country as and when they want to issues of social welfare and basic needs for those who are in Maquis as a result of the eruption of this violence in the city. All right. So this violence. We then assured them, yes.
Yes, Premier.
We assured them, of course, that we are attending to all the matters and all the concerns, and the Home Affairs, under the leadership of Minister Gigaba, appreciated all the concerns, and he will be addressing them very soon.
All right. So, Premier, in the last few days, the violence has been in the townships mostly. Why do you think that it's moved to the CBD now, and who's responsible for this violence in your view?
Well, I went to the streets myself, the streets of Durban, around 4 o'clock, just to see what was happening and who was involved. And I could see that, on one hand, there were local people, most of them, I mean all of them, youngsters, who the police at the stage were unable to say where they come from. But they were acting like a band or as a band, getting to shops and breaking them open. And in some cases looting, and of course it was largely criminal in terms of acts rather than a situation where you could say is xenophobic, except for the fact that those shops that were targeted were those owned by foreign nationals, of course, which is a major worry to us. So we think that suddenly this violence has become mobile, in the sense that earlier on the attacks were around Point Road and then moved towards the west of the city to send George Street and to Russell and West Street. But the police that I spoke to on the scene insisted that the situation is under control. I could see that even at St. George's, where there were two groups facing each other with the police between them, but the situation was really by and large under control.
So, Premier, are you suggesting that this isn't xenophobic in nature?
Well, I would say there could be, there are elements of xenophobia in the sense that the shops that are being targeted are those owned by foreign nationals, but there is also largely a criminal element in this. And I would say, while I know and acknowledge that there are people who are not employed and therefore they might be suffering from poverty, but by and large, I mean, when you go to a shop and you steal this and that, you don't even, it shows that it had a group criminality inside where they make it look like they are doing this for fun, when it is very serious and can result into loss of life. And therefore, we're looking at it in that regard and are urging police. And I spoke to the provincial commissioner that they need to tighten their hand and they need to double up the numbers of police on the streets so that they become as mobile as the groupings once they are in town and act decisively.
Talking about mobilizing the police, it seems as if that the police aren't able to cope with the number of people that are involved in this violence, and it's quite widespread, it seems. Is there a chance that perhaps you might get reinforcement from the army, maybe?
No. We have reinforcements already from Gauteng, wherein more than 100 police have been brought into KwaZulu-Natal, and we're happy about that. When a group of people suddenly attack a shop, there might not be enough police in that particular scene at that particular moment. But within minutes, like it happened when I was in St. George's Street, within minutes, there were 2 cars that were there that I found there, but within minutes there was a large truck of police, and they are able to move around within a very short moment. All we are saying is that there should be more police that are on standby to be called at any point, at any site of ugly scenes at the moment, so that we contain the situation. But by and large, the police are able to control the situation. As I say, around 4:30, the situation was quite calm.
Okay.
And
Premier, I'm going to have to interrupt
the situation is calm.
Just because we don't have time, and perhaps very briefly, can you give us a timeline when this situation will be contained? And secondly, what happens next?
Well, in and around Umlazi, the south of Durban, the situation is getting calmer and calmer. 30% of shops that were closed are now open. Of course, the attacks spread yesterday and today around KwaMashu areas, and there the situation is under control, is now in town. And all we are saying is that there should be good anticipation on the side of police, and all of us who are mobilizing councillors and local leaders that we should all stay alert, and where we see signs of any violence, we should jump onto the situation, call police and arrest the situation. I'm from a meeting at the City Hall wherein there were more than 500 people from all local areas, and all of us are determined to bring the situation very much under control. What we can see from now is more police on standby, more police very easy to move, and civil organizations and people acting on Thursday at 10 o'clock. There will be a large march in eThekwini from Curry's Fountain to the City Hall, all of them expressing rejection of violence and attacks.
Premier, we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately, but we certainly look forward to chatting to you again in the coming days as we monitor the situation. Premier Senzo Mchunu, thank you.